Welcome to the PitchVision Academy Cricket Show. This is your guide to better cricket. Doesn't matter who you are or where you are. We're here to help you out. And we've been off for the last couple of weeks, so we're back to help you. Hope you haven't missed us too much. We're on Series 8, so we're well established. And we think we're just about getting used to what we're doing here. Who are we? Well, my name is David Hinchliffe. I look after things. And helping me to help you are two very fine cricket coaches. First of all, it's the Director of Cricket at Millfield School. It's Mark Garraway. Hello, Gareth. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. I'm sitting in the car park in Derby, and that's exactly what I look to do on most Wednesdays.
And it's the cricket professional at Portsmouth Grammar School. It's Sam Lavery. Hello, Lavers. How are you?
Very well, thanks, David. How are you? Did you have a good Christmas and New Year break?
Yes, yeah, got plenty done, and as always, started to poke people in the ribs to get them to come to net. Always difficult when it's when it's freezing cold outside, but we've had a good response, and people are keen to get started because before you know it, the sun will be out and it'll be blazing heat for 4 months of the cricket season.
You're optimistic there, aren't you?
Yeah, well, why hope for anything else? As Glenn McGrath once said, why predict anything else than 5-0? There is a competition going on somewhere in the world, though, and that, of course, is the Big Bash, the BBL. And one of the things that they brought in this year is interesting, from my point of view anyway, is this idea of a fielding average, which they brought in this year. And they're trying to sort of put a number on, like a bowling average or a batting average. They're trying to put a number on fielding, and it's quite an interesting approach, and it's one that I haven't seen before, so got me interested. Lavis, have you seen it? What do you think?
Well, the idea behind it's really good. It's something that we've talked about before, and we've all had our own kind of version of, I suppose, in the way that we analyse fielding performances and we record successes and failures. And I know Gareth does his positives, negative score of how many runs saved against how many runs have been taken or lost, or etc. And it's something that we've talked about a lot, and it's good to see that someone's trying to quantify it and put it into a universal product, as it were, that can be that can give us a reading of someone's ability within that discipline across the board.
It's easy to understand, isn't it? You can see straight away, like, there's the number. You know what that number means.
Absolutely, it's just something. It's trying to quantify something that's pretty tricky to quantify, kind of visually, or just if you look at a scorecard, there's not a lot of information there. Whereas, regardless of someone's batting average, if you open up a scorecard, you can look at half a dozen games and see if they're scoring hundreds or scoring ducks. So it's quite a good idea. I've got no doubt that this is the kind of thing that over the next 2, 3, 4 years, probably 10, 15 years, it will probably be adapted and tweaked a little bit, and the process that's used will be adapted slightly. But I think as a starting point, it's a pretty good idea, and it's a pretty good method they've got. There are always going to be quantifiable areas where you would like it to be almost a clinical statistic, but it's not. It's going to require an amount of interpretation. It's going to involve a little bit of human error, I suppose, or human judgment, which is going to lead to a little bit of inconsistency across the board. But as a starting point, it's quite good. And just to go through it very quickly, it's the number of opportunities a fielder takes in the field, so whether it's catches or run-outs, etc., divided by the number of opportunities they've had. And it goes into a little bit more detail about different levels of opportunities and different difficulties and things like that. But essentially, if you get 5 catches and 5 run-out chances and you take 8 of them, it would be 8 divided by 10, and you would be a 0.8 quality fielder. And that's kind of how they do it. With then different levels of difficulty, with grade 1 errors, grade 2 errors, and grade 3 errors, trying to be quantified as different difficulty levels, and that is the area where it becomes a little bit grey and a little bit more tricky to do. But again, we can only start at the beginning, really, and we can't really be a complete finished article at our first go. So I think they've had a pretty good effort, and it'll be interesting to see how how it develops further, and who else takes it up, because it's something that's being used by Cricket Australia at the moment. But is it something that everyone wants to take a hold of? Is it something that becomes a universal statistic around the world? And is it something that transfers to all forms of cricket? It would also be interesting to see if it then separates down into different fielding roles. So is there a different process for a slip fielder as there would be to a boundary rider or a ring fielder? So there are 1,000 ways you can go, but unfortunately not everyone has 1,000 members of staff at every game, so we've got to be realistic with what we can do. Even at the highest level, you've got to have an element of realism that it's going to be good. It's probably not going to be perfect yet.
I think you're right that we have to start somewhere. You have to start with something. Just forget about the imperfections and just start doing it, because it's something that's happened in baseball. This slightly trying to quantify something which has a qualitative element to it. They've done that for 100 years, so it's certainly something that is that can be done, and we just need to start on it. So I agree with you completely on that one. What I like about this is that they don't just say, was it a drop, was it a catch? Because if someone does a full stretch diving catch at point and drops it, that gives you exactly the same sort of value as if something loops up to you at short cover and it slips out of your hand. So what I like is that it grades the difficulty to say that we're only going to count the ones that you drop if we think you should have caught them in the first place. Which that makes logical sense, doesn't it? Because otherwise you think, well, I'm not going to go for that diving catch because it's going to count against my fielding score. But you can still go for that really difficult one, knowing that the average is not going to be affected. But if it's a simple one, if it's one that loops up to you at mid off, you better catch every single one of those. Otherwise your fielding percentage is going to be affected. And I like that. Never heard of that before. And I like that, and I'm definitely going to be using that next year for our fielding scores.
Well, that's certainly something that Gareth has identified as a weakness in the fielding measurements he's seen in the past, is that you don't want to create an environment where someone doesn't want to take on an opportunity because they're worried about not taking it. And with the sort of the grading system of 1, 2, 3, you can't not take on a grade 1 because it's a relatively straightforward chance. So you'd be backing yourself to do it anyway, and then obviously. And if you miss a grade 2 or a grade 3, then it doesn't necessarily count against you. Obviously, in terms of loopholes, they'll find ways around them, and it'll just need a little bit of time. But you could get someone who's fielded one ball and is a perfect 1.0 fielder, and someone who's fielded 1,000 balls and has got 999 of them perfect, but is a 0.99. And look, that's the way cricket goes. And it may be that they have, in the same way they do sometimes with batting statistics, it's a batting average within Test cricket for people who've scored over 2,000 Test runs or whatever it is. Yeah. So it can be used in the same way of someone's been involved in more than 50 opportunities. What is their average? Because then it means something. Whereas if they've been in 2 or 3, it doesn't mean a great deal at that stage. But these are things that'll be worked out along the way. And as we said before, get it going, get it underway. Find out a load of brilliant things about it. Find out a load of terrible things about it. We'll fix it up as we go along, and we'll make it even better. The good thing is that for a lot of people, they will invest a bit more time in their fielding, and they will want to see a number next to their name. And people take a lot of pride in statistics within cricket because it's a big part of the game. And if suddenly there's a figure next to their name which they don't like the look of, they'll probably start working a little bit harder. Yeah. The standard of fielding is fantastic around the world. In comparison probably to the average standard of fielding 20 years ago, it has improved, but people will continue to strive to be better and better. And those people who maybe aren't world beaters with the bat but play a good role in the field and are solid batters may find that their value goes up. And I'm thinking about guys like Jordan Silk, who was with me a few years ago and had a full season with him, and he would a lot of these grade 2 and grade 3 catches would actually, for him, they would be pretty much grade 1 because he's that good in the field. But you can imagine having someone like that in the field. Yes, his average through the bat might be 35, but if we can find a way of quantifying his value in the field that's worth whatever it might be, 10, 15 runs, if we can transfer it into runs or wickets in the end, then you'll probably see that someone along those lines is getting picked more often than not because of what they can add in that value, which add with that fielding value that we're now starting to create a statistic for.
Now it's time for us to answer a couple of questions on the show. Now, the way that we do this is that questions are sent in to us, and we answer them, and then we pick a winner. And the winner gets a prize, which is an online coaching course from PitchVision Academy at pitchvision.com. You can find out more over there, but you can send in your questions to us as well by emailing coach@pitchvision.com. And that's what Harsh has done, and Harsh has sent in the question that says, I'm a bowler, and I've learned the front foot block quite well. At first it was comfortable, but now I have severe pain in the ankle due to the front foot block. The pain is spreading onto my calf muscles while landing on a braced front leg. This is a serious setback for me at a crucial time. Please help me. Do I have the wrong technique or something? What would the case be?
Well, it could be. When I say the wrong technique, I think the front foot block is something that a lot of bowlers use. A lot of coaches use that with bowlers, and the premise really is that is the start of building the base that you can throw energy up the body and ultimately into your hand and into the back of a cricket ball when you're bowling fast. And the perfect bottom half of the body to produce as much energy as possible up the body into the back of a cricket ball is to have that front foot block over a braced leg, to have that back foot as low to the ground, if not dragging along the ground as possible, so you can then stabilize that bottom half and get it up, the energy to go from your legs into your hips, then from your hips up into your core, and then up into your shoulders, through the arms and into the back of the ball. The challenge with a block on a braced front leg is that it's efficient in terms of producing power and generating power up the kinetic chain, but also it potentially is the most is likely to cause injury, or can cause injury in certain bowlers. We see a lot of people that do bowl over a braced front leg and are injury free, but equally there are lots of bowlers that can't do that. Their bodies aren't robust about it, and I think it comes back as much as anything to how robust your physical being is to be able to withstand the forces that are going up through that block and that braced front leg, and so there could be some strength and conditioning stuff. The other thing that might be interesting to look at is the alignment of the foot, the alignment of your block as well, because if you've got your block in place and it's very rigid and you're over a braced front leg, but then you're having to rotate around that, then you could be putting your muscles, and more commonly actually the joints, under some stress. So thinking back to my time with England, Andrew Flintoff's front foot block used to go to fine leg, and then as he would go over his front foot block and his braced front leg, there would be a shearing effect on both his knee and his ankle. So I'd have a look at the alignment of your front foot block. But to me, there's a strength and conditioning thing, because you've got to be immensely strong to be able to repeat this over a long period of time. And it sounds as if possibly this is a repetitive injury because you started off okay and now it's not. So are you physically robust enough to be able to do that? Because it's a very demanding thing to do.
My first two thoughts, Lavers, were how much mobility has he got in his ankle, and also how much, as Gareth said, how much is the alignment of the ankle and the knee wrong from the front, if you know what I mean. Like, is there a big either collapse of the knee or maybe going out the other way that might be putting pressure on the ankle, maybe?
Yeah, I'd have gone straight to have a look at the actual the alignment of the joints, the alignment of his base, and consider his body is going to be reasonably efficient at dealing with stresses and forces going through the lower half of his body and up through his body, etc. If they're all landing in a straight line, and we all know that the one thing fast bowling isn't it isn't good for you. It will cause a lot of stresses, and it does require a lot of physical strength and physical resilience to withstand the things that are going through your body. So first of all, be looking at, is there an obvious reason why your body may not be able to cope with this? And as we've said, a bit of misalignment, or something that's not pointing in the right direction, or is bending at the wrong time, or maybe the way that you're impacting with your front foot. Are you striking with your heel? Are you going all the way onto the back of your heel? Are you going flat foot? Are you going toes first? How's that coming together? And then and then after that, if everything is in the right line and we are happy with the technical side of it, it is going to be a case of building up a bit more physical resilience to try and resist the things that will go, the niggles and injuries that you will pick up if you're putting a high stress action through a slightly lesser, I don't know, I'm not sure the word would be, a lesser body, so something that isn't equipped to deal with the actual speed and movement that it can produce. So yeah, it may be a case of a bit of time working on the physical side of things and trying to develop that lower body strength, just so we're a little bit more equipped. Given that it is muscular, though, it doesn't make me think that there's necessarily something being overloaded by the block, because that usually hits joints and things. But yeah, I would definitely be looking at how well lined you up first before you get on with the fitness work. But the fitness work is always going to be a good addition. It's always going to stand you in good stead long term anyway.
Yeah. Just be careful about building strength over the top of dysfunction. You don't want to do that. Make sure the function is correct before you start building up the strength, because otherwise you're just adding to the problem rather than taking away from it. But otherwise, Labors, I'm fully with you there. Yeah,
well, I'd be looking technique first, and then I would always try and have an element of S&C in the background in terms of developing a bit more strength around joints. But yeah, the technical thing is the first thing you potentially want to change if that wasn't where you'd like it to be.
And next question's from Raman, and Raman says, "Hello, I'm a right-handed batsman playing mostly at 5, 6 or 7. I've recently developed the problem of playing the short ball. I had my confidence some time back, but now I can't find it. Though I convince myself I can play it, my body doesn't allow me to carry on, and mostly I fall off. Also, I can't stop thinking the next ball will be a bouncer. I'll be really thankful if you can help me out, because this has been hampering my performance." Isn't it a weird thing to say that you can convince yourself of doing something, but your body won't let you? It's like you've been let down by yourself.
Yeah, and it sounds ridiculous, but I think we've probably all been in that situation, haven't we, where you can tell yourself something, you can say over and over and over in your head or out loud, or you can have a conversation with someone else about it, and then you walk out and try and do it, and your body says no straight away, doesn't it? Which is really strange, and it's not very enjoyable when you know exactly what you want to be doing, but you're just not quite able to do it. And that's the case, I think, a lot of the time for us as cricketers in different skills, that we know how the skill should be executed, we just can't do it all the time. So batting or bowling, for me, that would be the case. But there you go. I guess you've got to try and identify what is it that your body doesn't want to do. So are we not actually swinging the bat when we get to it? Are we not? Are we moving out of position? Are we? What's the actual cause of not the cause of the problem? What is the problem that we're having? So that'll be the first point, of course, work out what it is. From there, we've got to work out how can we rebuild that confidence. And once we rebuild that confidence in our head, hopefully our body will follow and it'll let us execute the skills that we want to. So the simplest way, and it's not going to be a quick fix necessarily, but is, can we go back to a level where we are confident? Can we revisit a point in that kind of reverse chaining from a very simple level of skill to the very high level of skill? And can we identify the point where we're comfortable with it, where we can do it without our body interfering or our brain interfering, whichever one it is? And once we've identified that level, whether it be with someone feeding a tennis ball to us underarm, or a throw down, or a hard ball being underarm towards our head, or whatever it might be. Can we just try and establish that confidence there, and then gradually start edging our way back towards that match performance area where we want to be? And once we identified that initial position, well, at least we're on a bit of a pathway back to where we want to be. Now, for different people who have had problems for different periods of time, it's going to take all kinds of different lengths of time to try and overcome this. So I would say be patient. The great thing is you've identified you've got an issue. Even though you've done that, don't think that it's an issue that will be with you forever, because you can convince yourself that this is something that you're not going to be able to get rid of. It's something that will be temporary. You can change it. You were good at something before, you'll be good at something again. You've just got to be a little bit patient and understand that if you have a sequence or a process you can work through, you will get back to where you want to be. However, don't be kind of ruled by the delivery. In the meantime, is there something you can convince your body to do if you do have performances and matches you've got to be in that's going to at least keep you at the crease? We all know about a number of players around the world who've just removed a shot from their game, and they've worked out different ways to duck and sway, and they've not hooked. And famously, Steve Waugh did that for a long period of time with immense success. But having the two things going on where you're trying to remove a skill and trying to improve a skill at the same time is really, really tricky. So it's going to be difficult if you are in season to try and do both. So I'd be straight on with that reverse chaining and trying to build back up towards where you want to be from a point that you're comfortable starting with.
Well, I'm pretty much along the same lines, and remarkably, I suppose, we've just done half of the batting module on level 3, and Mark Ramprakash has been in with me today. Normally Graham Thorpe, but he's out with the one-day squad out in India. So Ramps is with me today, and he's taken the guys through exactly that process about building confidence around the short ball. He's taken all of the candidates through that exact process that Lavers has just gone through. So, the start of that process is having tennis balls, building confidence, getting them back to a point where they feel that they're in charge of that situation. So that's the real basic level. It might be actually that you've played it pretty well in the past, and all you've got to do is go down to some underarm feeds with Incrediballs, and you can hit a few of those, and then you increase the challenge by getting the balls to be faster or from closer. With Incrediballs, you can have a few firing over your head, so you're building up decision making. And one addition that I think is really important to have, and it might sound sort of counterintuitive, is that to do a drill where you have 2 or 3 balls where it's going to be up your nose, and you play them with whatever style you want, whether you're hooking them or getting out the way, as we talked about with Steve Waugh, but then also having the decision-making capacity to be able to play a ball that's delivered at the same pace from the same place by the guy that's lower, that we've then got to get our body weight back into and simulate an extra cover drive. And often when we practice in isolation, all we do is practice that one shot, which is fantastic. But in terms of a game being readiness for the game, which is what you're talking about here, we need to have the capacity to be in our ready position, our action position, whatever you want to call it, at point of release, to be able to play both back foot and front foot. And if we can get back into the ball and play that extra cover drive, and in that drill with Incrediballs or tennis balls, we can play a hook shot or a pull shot and get out of the way of it, then that's a really good starting point to then increase the complexity, increase the challenge on your way back to hitting the ball as sweetly as you were before. The fact that you've actually been to that place before tells me that this journey might not be too distant. It might not require as much patience as if you were building the skill from scratch. You're not, because you've done it before. Your body's done it before. Your mind has done it before. And all you need to do is reconnect to that point where you feel comfortable, then layer up that consistency, that challenge, that complexity, until you get to a point where it becomes automated again, that when that ball goes into that certain area, that your response is to pull it for 4, get out of the way, or if it is a bit fuller, is to transfer your weight back into it and drive it. But I would always end with some decision-making stuff rather than just doing that blocked practice of hitting 50 to 100 pull shots, because that ultimately isn't the game.
And that is the end of the show for another week. Before we go, we do need to decide on the winner of this week's competition. That is, of course, the online coaching course from PitchVision Academy at pitchvision.com. And the two questions up for the prize are Harsh's question about the front foot block and bowling, and Raman's question about playing the short ball. Which one did you prefer this week, Gareth?
Well, I'm going to go with Raman's question purely because 100 first class 100 Mark Ramprakash has literally just done that exact session 20 minutes before we've recorded this. So I'm going to go with that one because it's current.
Good timing. Well done, Raman. And Gareth, if someone was listening to the show and they were thinking about getting in touch with us, maybe winning the prize and certainly getting their question on the show, how could they get in touch?
They could give us a call on 0203 239 7543 or drop us an email at coach@pitchvision.com.
That's correct. You can also get us on various types of social media. The PitchVision pages are available for you to go and contact us there. Or you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/PitchVision Academy, and Twitter @PitchVisionAcad. You can listen to the show every week for free if you want to do that. Just head to your favourite podcast catching app and do a search for PitchVision Academy and then tap on subscribe. It comes out every Friday. And if you want to get all the show notes from previous show, download old shows or stream them live from the webpage, then you can do that very easily as well. Just go to pitchvision.com/academy and click on the podcast link for all the details in there. That's all for this week. We hope you listen next week, but until then, have a good week. Cheers, Gareth. Cheers, Lavis.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.